I'm doing it. Oh my god, I'm live and we're doing it. Right. It's a personal joke between me and Donna, okay? Anyways, welcome to Difficult Research. My name is Kresha. I'm your host. I'm joking. My name is Kresha Easton, and I am related to a lot of people in this case. We have Lori Vallow. She was my aunt, right? I know. Who's so lucky? Who is so lucky? I am. She was married to my Uncle Charles. They adopted only my only nephew, and his name was JJ Vallow. So that made Tylee Ryan my cousin, step cousin, and that means my mom is Kay Woodcock. That means she was also marked to be, she was marked dark. Her name was Rhonda. The demon name, I'm sorry, was Rhonda. So there's that little tidbit, right? Anyways, I'm not a I'm not a professional. I'm just a family member with clearing the throat problems. Hold on. Oh, I didn't mute it. God today, right? I don't know why he was pointing the finger at my mom so bad. I was like, dude, chill, Lucky, so lucky I'm not there. So lucky I'm not there. Um, I understand that John Pryor, just like any defense attorney, that's their job. It's their job. So I know that I already draw a negative, I'm like, I already don't care for who he represents at all because I know for a fact that Tylee didn't walk onto Chad Daybell's property near the fire pit and dismantle. Okay. I know that. She didn't bury herself. She didn't burn herself. Okay. So JJ, same. He didn't walk onto the property of Chad Daybell and bound himself in duct tape. I'm being just real. So this didn't just happen. And this whole my client, uh, he was just basically a whore, a hoe. He, oh, was doing in an affair with Lori. Okay. But then, like John Pryor in his closing argument, his closing statement, this is his plea, right? And it was to point the finger at everybody else, just like he's done throughout the trial, everybody else except for his client. Okay. Now, but I'm with him. It sucks to be, both for and with somebody at the same, or for and against somebody at the same time. And I say that because I do believe that to some degree the church is involved. I do believe to some degree that Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski, Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Zulema Pastenes, Audrey Baratero, all the people. Okay, I do believe that they know more than they have let on. I can feel it. I can feel it, and we see evidence of it. So I get that too. And I don't like the fact that there were text messages between Melanie Gibb and the prosecutor, Rob Wood. Don't like it. It stinks. And I'm just like, if they would take the energy that the energy and the compassion and just whatever it is to protect victims like they do the church, I don't think we'd be in this spot, in this position to begin with, straight up. I just don't. I think it's really shitty. Like, eh, who, what prosecutor chums up with a in my opinion, co-conspirator? Okay, who does that and why? I had found in some court filings from Mark Means. This was a while back, right? Because Mark Means hasn't been around in a while for Lori, and actually he represented Chad too. I know y'all are on pins and needles, me too. I mean, I am, but I'm not. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what I feel like right now. Um, but yeah, in these filings, I had learned about because the defense is asking prosecution for discovery to turn it over. And going through that, you learn quite a few things in between. And so I knew that there was a witness, but it didn't say Joe Murray. It just said a witness across the street chopping wood. Now we know who that is. And then it also said, it named a couple like Regan Price, her too. But it also had where Mark Means was asking the prosecution for discovery on basically those text messages. And in this one that I found, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is pretty shitty." This is really shitty, if true. And it was that allegedly Rob Wood had told Melanie Gibb to make, and I'm quoting, "make a video, make it a good one." So it's like, hmm, okay. And then now hearing about Keith Morrison and Dateline and the whole, um, that I think that was her whole point. I think her whole point with interviewing with Nate Eaton was to make the church look better. If you catch my drift. So I think that's really shitty. It really is. And thank you, Deborah Guzman. We appreciate that. Gifting 5 difficult research memberships. That's awesome. Join the Chad Daybell book hating club. Okay, we hate your books, Chad. I actually need to upload this. I like to attack Chad's ego because they don't really care that they are going down for murder, just like with Lori and being called a core whore, which is it's equates to, or it's equivalent to the Mormon Antichrist. So she was like, "Oh no, I need to hear more about this. You call me a core whore? Yeah, you can call them. You can call them murderers. You can call them cheaters, liars, but do not call them core whore." Okay. So I like to attack the ego, and so it's like we hate your books, Chad, and we do. We hate his books. We hate his books. We do. And I mean, check it out. That's so gross. So gross. But anyway, so I really don't even know I don't really even know what to do, honestly. I was talking to That's what kind of took me so long to come on. I was like, I just really don't know what we can talk about. I'd caught the end of KJ's live, and then um, I'd gotten to the beginning of it, and she was starting to break it down, and I was like, God dang it. So I haven't had a chance to really watch anybody else, and that's really how I learn, is just by listening, watching other people break it down. I think it's real helpful. It helps me to dissect it because I don't really know what to look for. I don't know what to think or question or take note of. So, I mean, my thing is the whole connections and where this goes, to what degree it goes to, how high up in the upper echelons of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints this goes. And so that's what prompts the need for, let's say, prosecutor, let's say, church member, cult member, whatever you want to call it, Melanie Gibb. Let's just say that's their reason for wanting to protect it. And so it's like dealing with a case from hell, literally, and everybody who belongs to it wanting to protect it versus protecting children or fighting for justice for the children. And then the ones that do, they fall short because they point out everything except for the church's involvement. So it's really frustrating, especially whenever one of the most authoritative voices reporting the news is a Latter-day Saint. And, mm, you know, anyways, it's very frustrating. Oh. Anyways, yeah, it goes all the way up to, for sure, the the apostles of the church. So I apologize. I'm so every time I go on, my mouth just tracking these friends. What you talking about? Oh, it was? Man, it was just there. I just looked at it. That's crazy. I wonder why. I found Garth, his wife, Kara or whatever. I don't know how to say it. It's just she doesn't go under Daybell. She goes under her maiden name. And I'm like, that's gotta be just so honorable, right? Get married to your spouse and this is after Chad was freaking arrested. Okay. So I don't know. Do y'all want to play back? I don't John Pryor triggers me too, but that's all we have to work with. That and I also have Lori Vallow's opening statements and closing arguments. I don't know if y'all want to kind of glean from them and just kind of see money, power, sex, right? So, how many of you are nervous right now? And I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to ask that because it's horrible. Look, here you go. Uh-oh. Money, power, sex. All right, let me go grab some stuff. I thought there would maybe be some interviews, but not really. Okay. Let me fix my orientation. Oh, okay. All right. Thank y'all for everybody who joined me today. I mean, it's really awesome. Really, really awesome. I feel the love. And actually, at one point in time, Jason said, there's 320 people in chat. And he said, there's 316 likes. I was like, wow, that's almost 100%. That's really cool. So I really do appreciate you. Okay. And so this is the closing in Lori's case. Okay. And it was a year ago, same time, same place, just different year, different attorneys. Jury begins deliberations in murder trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. The state and the defense have left their lasting comments to sit with the jury. Okay, let me just play this and see what it does. Ads. Love them. Not.
The news at 4. I'm Doug Petcash. A big day in the Lori Vallow Daybell murder trial. Closing arguments in the Eastern Idaho mom's trial wrapped up just about 90 minutes ago. Now the case is in the hands of the jury. They started deliberating this afternoon. Vallow was charged with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and grand theft in the deaths of two of her own kids, JJ and Tylee, and her husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell. My co-anchor here on the news at 4, Shira Matsuzawa, has been covering this trial since the beginning. Shira, what's it been like today?
Well, you know, Doug, for the first time since this entire trial started, we saw more than 100 people inside the overflow room with me today. And that's way more than we've seen this entire duration of the trial, which speaks to the interest of this case moving forward. But like every day that we've been here in court, we saw Larry Woodcock, JJ's grandpa, as he arrived this morning. Take a listen.
Oh, I hope I can play that.
Guys,
okay, good.
Today is the day. That song was JJ's song. He played it, he sang it, he loved it. And I can't think of a better day to play that song in memory of JJ. And I am ready for this. The gloves are off. It's time to get this show on.
Amen.
Rob Wood delivered the closing remarks for the state. He opened with money, power, and sex, the same way the prosecution began its opening statement. Wood says Lori and Chad acted together to cause the deaths of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy. Wood told the jurors, "You saw evidence of Tylee's body burned beyond recognition, but Lori kept collecting Tylee's money." He said JJ's voice was silenced forever by a piece of duct tape and buried like a piece of trash in Chad's backyard. The court saw those photos again as the prosecution talked. He said the evidence is clear. Lori, Chad, and Alex, Lori's brother, conspired to murder Tammy. Wood said Lori was conveniently gone when Tammy was murdered. She was out of the state, but those trips were not coincidences. And Lori wasted no time in making sure she benefited from Tammy's life insurance money, because 2 weeks later, Lori married Chad on a beach in Hawaii. The jury also saw a text from Chad to Tammy, again from September 9th of 2019. It's a text where Chad talks about shooting and burying a raccoon in their pet cemetery. Wood said this text is where Chad told us where to locate Tylee. This text tells us where he burned her limbs. Wood said this was all a plan for Chad and Lori to be together without obstacles. In his closing argument, Wood said Chad and Lori used religion as a tool to manipulate others. The defense was up next. Vallow's attorney, Jim Archibald, said testimony showed Lori was a good mom. He says while evidence showed Alex and Chad in Chad's backyard where the kids were buried, it doesn't place Lori there. He said if Lori had a plan to kill her kid, why would she hire a babysitter only to kill JJ the next week? Archibald says it's because Lori didn't have a plan. Did she lie about her kids' whereabouts? Yeah, she did.
There
But
you
he
go.
says if this was about money, then why didn't she get an insurance policy on her 2 kids before they died? He also told the jurors when one of Lori's hairs were found on that duct tape, it wasn't a smoking gun because decomposition, pajamas, socks, and a blanket were also in that bag. He also put a lot of blame on Chad and that all of the beliefs Lori was following was from Chad. Archibald also addressed the jury, saying, of the 15,000 text messages you have in evidence, show me one where Lori says, when are you killing Tylee or JJ? He says you can't. The state then had a chance to respond to the defense. Rob Wood closed by saying Lori would tell her friends that nothing in this life counted for her. Wood said, make it count for Lori Vallow, that Tylee was burned, mutilated, buried in a bucket next to a dog and cat. He said, make it count for JJ, a boy with special needs who had a plastic bag around his head, and make it count for Tammy. Earlier this morning, Judge Stephen Boyce denied the defense's motion for an acquittal. You can read more about this at ktvb.com. And I will say that there was a moment when we broke for lunch, Doug, where Lori was seen crying and emotional while talking to her attorneys. Her fate now lies in the hands of the jurors.
And Shira, speaking of the jury, is there any indication of how long they could deliberate today?
Yeah, no, not at this moment. I think a lot of people were trying to figure out if there was a time frame, but there wasn't at this point. So it's up to anyone's guess. We'll just have to wait and see.
And obviously it could go for hours, it could go for days even, and we'll be on top of it. Shira, thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So let me close that one out. Allegedly. Okay. I want to go to Chad Daybell's opening statement. Okay.
Children
Let me fix my.
buried in the defendant Chad Daybell's backyard in September of 2019.
Okay.
The next month, his wife is found dead in their marital bed. 17 days after the death of his wife, Tammy Daybell, this defendant is photographed laughing and dancing on a beach in Hawaii at his wedding. It's Lori Vallow,
Let me
a
speed it
woman
up.
who was his mistress and the mother of the children buried in the graves on his property. 3 dead bodies. This defendant believed he had a right beyond the ordinary.
He has a
When he
right.
had a chance at what he considered his rightful destiny, he made sure that no person or no law would stand in his way. His desire for sex, money, and power led him to pursue those ambitions. And this pursuit led to the deaths of his wife and Lori's students and
I
children.
hope.
Chad Daybell is an author who wrote books about the apocalypse. During this trial, you will hear a story more troubling. And the story is real. Chapter 1.
Every day. Almost.
The defendant was a seemingly ordinary man. You'll see that he craved significance.
Okay.
He worked in journalism, and he worked as a sexton in a graveyard. He married his wife Tammy in 1990 after meeting at Brigham Young University, and they settled in Utah. As a full-time homemaker and mother, Tammy's love for her family was boundless. Together, Tammy and the defendant started a small publishing company, which Tammy supported in many ways.
100%.
They had 5 children together. They moved to Idaho, where Tammy became a beloved school librarian. She was devoted to service, her community, and her faith. But for this defendant, that ordinary existence was not enough. Chapter 2. Lori Vallow was a homemaker from Arizona. Your Honor, this mic just started the story.
Let's see if we get a replacement mic.
I think it's, I got
I
it.
really think they're going after him.
Notice the PowerPoint is not up.
Yeah, look, I think your mic's off. Yeah,
Okay, I didn't turn it off this time. So
Mhm.
we might have a bad battery.
Good. That's good to know, baby girl. Thank you. Again, this is only my second experience, you know?
Honor, it's up on the screen and I can't plug in the HDMI. I'm not sure why.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Back to it.
Can I proceed?
Yeah, but I'm still not sure how the mic is set up working.
Check.
Okay, thanks.
Apologies for the interruption. Writing down. Chapter 2. Lori Vallow was a homemaker from Arizona. She was married to her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, and she was the mother to Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow.
I don't remember.
Tylee was a normal, vibrant teenage girl. She loved her friends. You'll hear that she loved her Jeep. She loved Chipotle. She loved her little brother, JJ.
He did.
JJ was a 7-year-old boy on the autism spectrum. He required extensive special care needs. He loved his sister. You'll hear about a pivotal date that set in motion the deaths of Tammy, Tylee, and JJ. October 26, 2018.
They
That was
met.
the day when Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow met at a religious conference in St. George, Utah, where they were introduced by a mutual acquaintance. At this time, both still married to other spouses. That introduction set in motion the reality you're going to hear about.
Reality. You're going to hear
We
about.
know what happened next through the defendant's own words. You'll hear. Though both married, Chad and Lori began to have an affair. You will hear excerpts from the defendant's extended text messages to Lori that reveal his mindset and his motivations. In his thirst for sex, power, and money, Chad created an alternate reality where they called themselves James and Elaine.
Thank you.
Names that Chad claimed were from past lives they had lived together. The defendant's text messages reveal their story of lust and their plan for a future together. Chad
Yeah.
Daybell wrote that upon meeting Lori Vallow, he experienced a happiness
What?
unmatched by anything else in his 50 years.
Okay, hold on.
He was captivated by her appearance.
Breaking news. Okay, Donna just said just in, jury is retiring for the night. We'll be back at 8 a.m. So we're going into day 2 or day 1. Well, hell, I don't even know how you. We just went into them. So I don't even know when they ended. They do have a lot to think about. Can you imagine being stuck in, with the same people for, it started April 1st and today is what, May 29th? So that long and not being able to talk about it. Oh my God. I would freak out.
I think that they started doing their deliberation at 4:30, or they went to do it, and now so what is it, like 7:30? So maybe they
7:30
did a
Central.
couple of hours that they did. Yeah.
They
Can
had
you
supper in there
imagine
too.
those alternative ones? Do they don't get to visit with anybody? They're just like they're have to be by themselves, locked up for this whole entire time without getting to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Because they have to be clean, and not if they have to use them. God, I bet they'll really be nuts by the time this is over.
Maggie May asked, do you know what time the jury was sequestered? Now I can go play that part real quick. If you just hold on, let's see. I'll just have to get to that part to the very end and then I'll share my screen. Okay. Share this instead. We're just going to watch.
There is a plan being orchestrated for the children. What you're surrounded by celestial relatives that are simply obstacles. I want to be with you. That is my greatest hope and dream. Looks like Kauai a lot. Hopefully,
Hold
we
on.
will be there someday soon
I was looking
together.
for Donna's comment
That is
again.
the plan.
Unless you put it in here. Where's your comment, Donna? Donna. I'm going to make a banner
And
for
when
it.
counsel talks to you about Alex maybe going after
Thank you.
Chad, this is in November. The picture's taken in August when Alex travels back with Chad. But remember that patriarchal blessing given in November.
Let me scooch to.
It says who's dark property.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blake. That will conclude then the closing arguments of counsel. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the next thing we are going to take up is to draw numbers of the alternate jurors. We do have 17 jurors here present, so there are going to be 5 alternates. I am going to have a random draw of those 5 alternates, and when you have your number drawn, I'll ask each of you to please just briefly stand and then retake your seat so that counsel and that we've identified who those alternates would be, also for the assistance of the bailiffs. Once the number is drawn for an alternate, then those jurors will be designated as alternates, but your jury service is not necessarily over. In the event a juror were to become ill or is excused for any other reason during deliberations, an alternate would return and deliberations would start over. So as alternate jurors, I'll also mention that because of the proceedings and the nature of the rules here, you will be sequestered
Thank
until
you.
the conclusion of the trial.
Thank you
And
very
as we
much.
draw these alternates, I do just want to make
Uh-oh.
a comment that the court certainly appreciates, as I'm sure the parties, the exemplary performance you've all had thus far as jurors in this case through a long trial, getting to this point of deliberations. So with that being said, I am going to request Madam Clerk, if you would hand me the box that has the randomized numbers of the jurors, then I will have the clerk just randomly draw out of the box your numbers. And again, as your numbers read, please just stand up briefly and then take your seat. And then I'll give you further instructions before the bailiffs are sworn in. Madam Clerk, please draw the first number.
Juror number 6, red card 686.
We'll draw the second alternate now.
Thank you.
Juror number 16, red card number 1577.
We'll next have the third alternate drawn.
Juror number 18, red card number 1382.
This will be the fourth alternate.
Juror number 17,
Wow, I
red
didn't know
card
that.
1271.
And this is the fifth, correct?
Juror number 13, red card 751.
All right, thank you. That is the designation then of alternate jurors.
If they didn't, I do.
As I
have a headache
mentioned,
still.
you will be sequestered for the time being while the jury deliberates. You may be called upon to additionally serve. You'll be advised if and when that happens. And you must continue to abide by admonitions of the court given previously about not discussing the case or investigating the case in any way until the matter has concluded. So at this time, the next matter we'll take up is the swearing in of bailiffs who will be in charge of holding the jury until a verdict's been reached, including during sequestration. I am going to
Raise
note
your
on
right
the
arm to the
record,
square.
because of the number of bailiffs and marshals necessary for sequestration and with scheduling, there were 3 additional bailiffs sworn in on the record yesterday. So 3 have been sworn previously. The additional 3 that are here will now be sworn at this time. If you would each please raise your right hand, I'll have Madam Clerk administer the oath to these 3 bailiffs.
Do you
I'm
solemnly
not.
swear or affirm that you will keep this jury together in some quiet and convenient place? That you will
They're all
not
raising
suffer
their
any
arms to the square
communication
right
to be
there.
made to them,
Straight. That's what
nor make any communication to them yourself
that
on
is.
any subject connected with the trial of this case, except to ask if they have agreed upon a verdict, and upon their agreeing upon a verdict, you will return them into open court or upon the order of the court, so help you God.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So Deputies Holmes, Bache, and Costello have now been sworn additionally as bailiffs in this case. At this time then, I will ask everyone to rise. We'll send the remaining jurors to the jury room to begin their deliberations, and the court may address them regarding scheduling for the rest of the day or through the bailiffs through a message. So that will conclude the trial, but for the deliberations to commence at this time. Thank you.
Did I miss it again? Did he just say sequestration? And I'm like, what? I think so.
Alternates would be the rules here. You will be sequestered until the conclusion of the trial. And as we draw these alternates, I do just want to make a
Okay.
comment that the court certainly appreciates, as I'm sure the parties, the exemplary performance you've all had thus far as jurors in this case through a long trial, getting to this point of deliberations. So with that being said, I am going to request Madam Clerk, if you would hand me the box that has the.
Okay, so there's that. And let me change this real quick. It's very gaudy. I usually do the minimal one. Okay. I'm just winging it, so we're just kind of hanging out. Okay, that's what this is more about. Did y'all like the thumbnail? I was like, oh my God, that's not very classy, but neither is Chad. So, and it's kind of reality, if you ask me. Is this right here? There's a soap and we're on verdict watch. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. Anyways, okay, hold on just a second. So I really don't even know what to talk about. Okay, let me go back to over here. I'm overthinking is what's happening. And so John Pryor, he was just throwing. He really was just throwing things at. Hold on, something's playing. Okay. I had a window that started playing stuff. Okay. So with Lori's, it said jury instruction was at 8:56 a.m. Presiding Judge Stephen Boyce said Thursday morning there is sufficient evidence to bring forth the case to the jury, and he will deny the motion for acquittal for each of the 7 counts. Lori Vallow will not be acquitted before a verdict. The jury will be brought in for the judge to read the 39 jury instructions. They must follow when deliberating. Quote, even if you don't understand the reasons for some of the rules, you are bound to follow them, unquote. Boyce tells the jury during their jury selection. Oh, I looked away. Sorry, during their instruction. Okay. I thought I just said selection instead. Okay, the jury must decide what the facts are based on the evidence and apply it to the law. Arguments and statements by lawyers are not evidence. So what John Pryor was trying to do there, it's not evidence. The jury must follow their memory or their notes they have taken throughout the trial. And that whole memory thing right there, it made me think of the false memory syndrome foundation. How they try to discredit everything. Anyways, the jury, okay. Arguments and statements by, okay, I already said that. Boyce said the jury must follow their memory. Oh, I said that too. I'm tired. Evidence from Arizona was admitted, but only to prove motive. Boyce tells the jury they cannot consider this outside the scope of motive. Other exhibits were provided only for demonstrative purposes and also cannot be considered as evidence. Boyce said the witnesses are considered evidence in a trial, but the jury is allowed to weigh their credibility from their statements and credentials. If any of the alleged acts, which are listed in the indictment, I don't even want to talk about that, have not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, the jury must find Lori Vallow not guilty. So Chad too. In order to find her guilty, the jury has to decide the state proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the crimes took place. I skip down. The verdict must be anonymous. Okay. Cannot be arrived at by compromise or by chance. Each juror has to arrive at this verdict based on weighing the evidence and credibility of the witnesses. Credibility of the witnesses. There are quite a few for the jury to be like, oh my God, can you imagine? I can't wait to hear from them. Quote, you are not partisans or advocates. You are judges, unquote. Boyce said. Rob Wood will give closing arguments on behalf of the prosecution. The court takes a brief recess. The state of Idaho. Okay, so Rob Wood began his closing arguments, and then he went through all this. And he says on November 5th, okay, whoa, still going through that. Lori Vallow used a religious belief system to justify her son's death. Let's see. Rob Wood says, reasonable doubt is not something people make up, Wood said. If you go, this is quote, if you go back and deliberate, use your reason and your common sense. Malice, follow the instructions. Malice can be expressed where someone says they want it to happen. It can be implied. You will find expressed and implied malice. Any person who aids and abets, facilitates, or promotes a crime to happen is just as guilty as anyone else involved. Aiding and abetting is just the same as pulling the trigger. Wood discusses the timeline and evidence that the state believes ties Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, and Alex Cox to the crimes. Wood said Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow endorsed religious beliefs for the purpose of justifying Tammy Daybell's homicide. Quote, the day Tammy Daybell is buried, what is Lori doing? Looking up wedding dresses, unquote. He also said texts between the three alleged conspirators, the burner phones, the Google searches on all the iCloud accounts tied the timeline together. Wood brings up the text Chad Daybell sent his wife September 9, 2019 about burning limbs and burying a raccoon in the pet cemetery of the backyard. Quote, he was showing us where Tylee Ryan was buried, unquote, Wood said. Okay, David Warwick testified previously. Lori Vallow told him her son was with her brother, Alex Cox, on the night JJ Vallow was last seen. A 38-second phone call the morning of September 23rd, 2019, from Chad Daybell to Cox takes place while Cox is in his apartment around 9:25 a.m. Quote, by 9:45, Alex is on his way to Chad Daybell's house, this time with JJ Vallow in tow, unquote. Wood said, quote, his grave was not dug in 17 minutes. This was planned. This was premeditated murder. Lori handed her boy off to Alex Cox, unquote. It gave me chills. 10:50 a.m. Tylee, Tammy, and JJ can't tell us what happened, but their bodies do, Wood said. He reiterates the autopsies of the three. Tylee Ryan was stabbed and dismembered. JJ Vallow was suffocated, and Tammy Daybell was murdered by asphyxiation, he said. It's about money, power, and sex, Wood continued. Within a week of Charles Vallow's death, Lori Vallow was already talking about the life insurance she'd get, Wood said. Tylee Ryan collected Social Security benefits from her father's death. Quote, Lori Vallow changed the deposit on Tylee Ryan's account. She started putting that money into her own BBVA account. On September 28th, she made sure to get the money before she killed Tylee, unquote. JJ Vallow, he collected benefits. The first deposit, days later. JJ Vallow is dead and buried in Chad Daybell's backyard. She made sure to get the money first. Wood said Lori Vallow had no right to take the money. The charge of grand theft includes theft of about $1,000. If you find she collected more than this, you must find her guilty because anything above 1,000 is a felony. Okay. Wood said Lori Vallow was a master manipulator to people in her life, especially her brother Alex Cox. Lori is the conduit of information to Alex. He believed all of it. Where did he get it? Where did he get it? From Lori. Why does she give it to him? To justify murder. But today we heard Lori gets it from Chad. So anyways, Wood reiterates the affair and sexual conversations between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Quote, it's their plan to be together, to get rid of the obstacles, Wood said. Lori never said, you know what, maybe we shouldn't kill my kids. Wood brings up a previous text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Quote, I got the inspiration to go back to my original death percentages that helped us track Charles, unquote. The text said, quote, not me, us, Wood said. Tammy is very close. So after he's talking about death percentages, he said Tammy is close. They are talking about murdering Tammy. Again, it's like coded, okay? It's not just like, hey, you want to kill the kids? Or you want to kill this person or that person? It's not like that. And so I think this is just it's another problematic thing. I mean, this has been happening forever with mafia and just, oh my God, I don't even know what else to say because it's like they understand this, what they're saying to each other, but it's taken me 5 years of practice. Okay. And I think that's why I really am going to do a big deep dive into the coded stuff, from Julie Rowe and her coded voicemail to Chad Daybell's priesthood blessings. A long time ago, whenever I first started down oh my God, this bizarre religious rabbit hole. Okay. It's mainly, I was like, I didn't know what people were saying in the comments, because they were protecting, and I say protecting the church as in maybe they didn't know, or they knew and they were purposely saying it didn't go back to the church. So to me, I was like, why? What? Because, I mean, I have a very basic understanding of religion or whatever, of religion. And I mean, I don't speak in scripture is what I'm saying. I don't memorize them. I'm just like, I kind of just know the basics. And so the things that were being said, when the kids were missing in the Facebook groups, and a lot of people were saying, our church does not teach the 144,000. And I was like, huh? But in there, like, you have the Book of Mormon and then you have the Bible, right? So it didn't make any sense to me because if you have a Bible within your, that's one of their 4 whatever main books, then about the 144,000. Everybody does, I mean, it's just, so that struck me as odd. And I mean, again, I don't know. It maybe don't. It may not be in there. But it seems to be this Enoch or Enoch or Enochian, however you say it, the Dead Sea Scrolls, that seems to be what these people are exploiting. Okay. I don't really, that in the book of Revelation. So it's interesting to me. So it's the coded talk. And that's probably why we didn't hear, do you want to, you want to kill the kids? Is so to me, it's just, it bothers me. So that, and I really do believe that there's something in somebody and someone, some system powering this rhetoric. Okay. And I mean, again, if it was just a one-time fluke, if it was a one-time horrible, tragic string of deaths, okay, and it was just mainly Chad and Lori, okay, but it's not. So I'm just not, I don't play that. I want to get to source, and source to me is that there's something far more dark, far more sinister behind this. Okay. Driving this, Tim Ballard. Okay. Julie Rowe, Tom Harrison, Ken Krogh. I'm trying to remember the names. Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt. Right. There's too many of them. First off. Okay. Yeah, thankfully these days digital evidence is helpful. I don't understand why DNA was not taken from tools used in the crime. No, I have the same like what? It doesn't make sense. I don't okay. So to me, this is where it's protecting the secret society or the members of it. That to me, like just oops, like kind of oops. Uh it's convenient, and if it doesn't have to be drawn out, they won't use it. And I think it's shitty. I really do. Yes, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, because it goes up. President Nelson's daughter and son-in-law were implicated. Now you will hear arguments on the tube on the interwebs, okay, that it was never proven in a court of law, and you know all those other to me they're convenient type things. Same thing with the Hamblin case that I've been researching. That's also kind of spawns out of southern Utah. All right. And it's disturbing. But I tell you, when I'm telling you this, I swear the same things that I'm seeing from Chad, Lori, all the priesthood blessings, the things that are being said, it is identical to what the belief system or the beliefs are in the David Hamblin case. Identical. It's like inverted, okay? And so Chad Daybell is from southern Utah. Whether they know each other or and so this they go by David Hamblin and it's I don't know what to call it. To me it's like just sacrificing and killing and abusing children really bad. There's over 144 people named in it. And I do believe this will end up tying to Tim Ballard. I do believe that this will end up tying to even higher up. Okay. And I mean, it kind of already does. So, but of course, it's not been proven in a court of law. So, you got to presume innocence until then. But these victim statements from the Hamblin case, 3 of Hamblin's own daughters, it's pretty nasty, y'all. And whenever this caught my eyes, Tylee and JJ had just been unearthed from Chad Daybell's property. And I knew how Tylee had been handled. And I was like, that's just so whenever David Hamblin came up, I was like, it came through on Fox 13 News. And I was like, cannibalism and ritualistic child sex abuse. I won't be monetized, but anyways, it just I was like, oh my God, that is connected, like that's too close to me for just these egregious details. And that was just my first, impression with that. And then, as this case has, as like Lori's case has been adjudicated and then going into Chad's, I've spent a lot more time reading into these docs and everything. I don't know why I did that. I'm so not over. Let me take this down. Hold up. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm opening windows and just kind of ticking some boxes off. Okay. All right, let me do this one instead. Anyways, I know y'all are probably like, who, David Hamblin, what? And I mean, if anybody ever wants those documents, I have the entire case file in my Dropbox account. So if you'll email me at Kresha0123@gmail.com. I don't think it's in the description box right now, but it will be. Just email me and ask, and I'll send it to you. So, because I think everybody needs to know this. I really do. It's too close, and it's too close. And the David Hamblin and friends, I'll just say David Hamblin and friends. David Hamblin was a Mormon therapist, just like Jody Hildebrandt. And he was being referred clients, just like Jody Hildebrandt, via bishops and stake presidents, people with that kind of, with that job or whatever, with that duty. And so they would go and see Hamblin. And there's this one guy who alleges that he was assaulted multiple times. He went to be cured, right? How many times have we heard this? Also in Jody Hildebrandt's case, or accounts from or about Jody Hildebrandt. Sorry, about homosexuality being demonic, or like you can be cured from it. Okay, and so this kid goes in there, right? He goes in there to go to therapy, or oh my God, I can't counsel with David Hamblin. David Hamblin starts telling the kid, he's like, so you've actually experienced satanic ritual abuse. And the kid's like, no, I didn't. No, I haven't. And I mean, the whole time, and David Hamblin's like, yes, I hypnotized you. Yes. It's very, it's a mind fuck, if you know what I mean. And I mean, and then they're getting paid from the Mormon church this whole time doing these kind of things. So then, and okay, so earmuffs, okay, trigger warning. So at one point in the, so sorry for my space headness, okay. Oh, okay, so in one of the counseling sessions, David Hamblin allegedly told Brett that that he needed to have the righteous seed, if you know what I'm saying. It's just it's really gross. But I mean, it's been going on for decades now, and a lot of these people, like Gordon Bowen, even. Let me look that up real quick. Lynn Packer. Ooh, anybody who's just joining us, yeah, thank you for being here, first off. But I also want to, you're probably like, what does this have to do with Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow? And I mean, it's not directly correlated with it, but I figure, and it has the more and more I go, the more and more it connects, unfortunately. And a lot of people, some people have been like, well, if you continue to look for it, or if that's what you look for, then you'll find it, and I'm like, okay. It's just crazy. Let me get to here. Let me put this link in the chat. And this is to Lynn Packer's video op-ed number 23, and it is about SRA and the church, Gordon Bowen, Mitt Romney. I mean, it seems to be the same. It's of course generational, so it's the same families abusing over and over and over again, if you know what I'm saying. So, and their whole thing is to dominate the world outright for whatever that's worth. Okay, it's disgusting. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Thank you, Mormon True Crime. She said, and if you refuse to look for any of it, you'll never see what's going on in front of you. So thank you. Right? It's crazy. It really is. And I've been looking more into the beliefs of David Hamblin and his ilk, or whatever I don't know what to call them. They go by the group. Okay. and they attend meeting houses, they hold callings, they're bishops, they're stake president, there's I don't it just flew out of my head, but anyways, it's nuts. And I'm not saying you have to believe me, or what I'm saying is the absolute truth. I'm just saying, please look into it and just decide for yourself. And then, let's talk about it, because I think these things are very important to talk about. At least that's why it's difficult research, Okay. I know what I can do. We have KJ and the Ray, right? And she was doing, she actually did a live stream earlier about closing statements today. And so I'm going to pull her up and I'm going to go look at some of the belief system things that I can point out to you. Nothing's fast. It's raining here again. We have the storm. Okay. Everybody giggle. It's horrible. Not letting him ruin everything. Oh, maybe. Okay, there it is. Okay. I was like, oh. Whoa. All right. Let me share this tab instead. Okay. And let me go back.
Traditional,
Okay.
traditional Mormonism. Well, maybe he should have said like something like fringe or an offshoot or something to that effect. But to me, when I think of traditional, that's something that's always done. And perhaps, KJ's been a little short-sighted all these few years here. Maybe, I need to wake up to the reality that Cressa was right all along. Traditional, mainstream, makes no difference. But John Pryor brought it out. But anyway, back to there wasn't no agreement. And he hit on several things, trying to talk about there was no text message saying we're going to kill the kids or anything. Folks, does anybody believe that in this world, in the United States of America, if you don't put let's have a plan to kill the children.
Historic is a good word.
That's all any of these murderers would have to do. Make up code talk or talk about what? Their beliefs. Blanket it. If they're not coming right out and saying it, they don't get charged. Yeah. Then all these evil ass murderers out here can say, well, the law says that unless it's written down, we can, how are they going to prove if we whispered here or got behind Zulima's house and made up code words or anything like that? That's why the word implied is there. Then John Pryor got to this whole thing about the plan. The plan was, and this is what John Pryor says, and I nearly laughed myself out of my chair. Seriously. He said Chad's plan was he was a gatherer, y'all, of 144,000 to camps that help children and others that are downtrodden. Now, what is it? I thought 144,000 people were special. They're like a remnant that no one else but this 144,000, right? But then John Pryor wants to add that little extra in there. He wants to help the children, the downtrodden. Well, how downtrodden was Tylee and JJ?
Right.
Being murdered and buried in his backyard. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's no different than when Chad was giving Alex his blessing, saying, in your next probation, you're going to help so many children. What, to alleviate Alex Cox's conscience if he even had one?
Right.
Give me a break. So he says that. He says Chad was a gatherer. Well, wonder why Chad wasn't on the 7 gatherers little email thing there. Wasn't it Zulima that named all 7 of them? What about Chad? What, he's a man, so he don't get on that one? Folks, there is no doubt. We all know it. The evidence speaks for itself. Chad would have never compared himself to everyone else being the same, a gatherer. Chad was supposed to be the high priest They are the one that's going to usher it in, and I'm going to be the one. I'm going to have translative powers, and I'm going to heal people, and I'm going to help people. He was the leader. If somebody wants to say, well, KJ, maybe he was the leader of the gatherers. No, he was the leader, and then he had all these dumbasses out here hopping on planes and going to meet over at people's houses, these in-home meetings out of the woodwork. Serena Sharp, Christina Atwood, Nicole Earl, all of them showing up to do these stupid-ass castings and stuff. And let's not forget it was brought out in trial. Imagine that damn asshole sitting in the middle of the room and all them women sitting around him. I'm going to teach you. Oh, y'all, his voice is so creepy. And Lindsay Blake did.
Yeah,
She hit a home run. She played that stuff twice today of Chad giving Alex his blessing, at least portions of it. And his voice sounds like a serial killer. He's like a bad sling blade guy. Give me some taters. Give me some taters. I'm telling you what, Chad Daybell is as creepy as they get. And by the way, while I'm on the subject of creeping out, I wanted to see, I zoomed in on her today during the state's closing argument. Excuse me. And he would shake his head every so often over different stuff. He especially shook his head when Lindsay Blake talked about him Googling southwest wind, because Chad he knew he put his daughter up there to lie. He has no conscience, really. He has nothing. He's all in for whatever he can slither away. He wants to get out of that corner. He's a demon trapped in a corner, and he knows his ass is going down. So the plan, according to John Pryor, is Chad was just a gatherer. He believes it. And whether y'all like it or not, you can believe whatever Chad can espouse any religious belief he wants. And that's the truth. Chad Daybell can espouse any religious belief he wants, but bring his ass down here to Tennessee, come out here on my porch and start telling me that somebody's dark or something like that, he'll get his ass stomped real quick. And I'm sure there are people all over the United States and this world that don't put up with that kind of shit. So anyway.
I didn't see that. Which part?
Then John Pryor says, Chad believed that the kids were safe because Lori talked about hiring a family attorney slash it was all a custody fight. That's what John Pryor wanted to present to the jury, because Chad believed when Lori said on those phone calls and stuff that Kay was trying to take JJ and all this, and that Chad, he just went along with it. Folks, none of that adds up. At the point where Lori got arrested.
No, he wouldn't.
If this was true,
come on.
The point where she got arrested, that's when Chad would have come out and said, wait a minute. You know, she told me the kids were safe. I love her. She's my wife and everything. But if she's not willing to tell you where her kids are because she doesn't want her kids being taken away for custody, Chad Daybell, being a law-abiding citizen, I've only had one speeding ticket or whatever, I'm going to tell you she's got them somewhere safe. At least he could have done that. He didn't have to. If she had told him, Chad, I've got them down in a bunker somewhere over there in Arizona or in Utah or something like that. If she would have lied to him and told him the kids are safe, they're here, then he would have come out and said, that's what she's told me.
That's what she said.
But then you would have to believe if she didn't tell him that and she just said, Chad, it's okay, I'll handle it. The kids are safe. The bottom line is he's not going to ask any further. He's not going to ask any further. So that was another thing. First, it was Chad is not a bad guy. He's strange in his religious beliefs. He was just a gatherer. He was trying to gather the 144,000. Lori told him that, you know, she was in a custody fight with Kay Woodcock, and Kay was so mean. And I already had helped rate Kay Woodcock dark along with everybody else that stood in our way. But neither here nor there. So then John Pryor brings up also about Kay and Larry. wanted
Hold on.
wanted to at least have JJ, and that's when a
Okay, hold on. So we'll go over to this one because Chad did this was in January of 2020. Okay. And it went like this. You can watch how Chad acts. And look.
Do you have any questions regarding that?
He's like, I probably better lean in and act like I'm reading it.
1439 hours on January 25th.
What kids? What kids? This is his hot new girlfriend that's loaded, remember? She didn't have kids. That was before that. That was before this day. I mean, this just pisses me off.
You need something?
Any questions? You have any questions for that?
Chad, do you have any questions? Hey, Chad, do you have any questions as to why she's being ordered to produce her children within 5 days? You know, he didn't say nothing after that either. He didn't go to the authorities. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing it out.
No? Okay. All right. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
That's nasty.
All right.
Okay, it repeats. Anyway, so let me go back to KJ. And I wanted to ask, whoever had left that comment, I can't remember your name, about, I guess it was Chad smiling when they were describing Tylee. Was this during today's, today's court stuff or what? Oh my Lord, right? And no, he would not make it in the damn South. Okay, straight off. I'm like, we're not preppers because this is what we do, you know? Oh, good God, you don't have to be a prepper. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't be, I'm just saying like Melanie Boudreaux and Lori's cousin, Braxton. Okay, I'm just like, what? What? You know, and he's reading about what Visions of Glory is about, which y'all need to go check out Paul with Reporting Live from My Sofa is his channel name. He's diving in finally to Visions of Glory, and that's the book that was under Lori's leg just now. It's the murder book. I'm just picking. But yes, yes. So y'all go check him out and support him for getting through that grueling ass book. I have 2 copies. Yeah, that's what I need to go find. The weird smile. Yeah, I want to know too. Veronica, it was you, Veronica. I said the comment about Chad smiling. Okay, do you know when it was from? Today? Was it from today? If you can kind of point me in the right direction, me or one of our mods can try and scour and find it. I'm surprised Loco didn't hoe herself out to the prophet. Yeah, he like this. He never like directly looks anybody on. He's so passive aggressive. It's unreal. Chad was sort of today was the most movement I've seen. Ooh, I wonder if the body language guy, Dr. G, I wonder if I'm sure. I hope. If not, I hope. And there's also Lawyer Lee. She was live earlier. Oh my God, I keep opening more and more tabs. Lawyer Lee. I don't know if Lawyer has done it yet. He's usually like a day behind, kind of. I'm trying to see what this is first. No, I'm glad that's Law and Crime. This one was 4 weeks ago. Let me just go to her YouTube channel and then should be one of the first ones. Okay, here we go.
Hi, y'all, and welcome to tonight's live stream.
Let me go
Well,
grab
we
her link.
are officially on verdict watch in the Chad Daybell case. Chad Daybell, of course, is on trial for murdering 7-year-old JJ, 16-year-old Tylee. They were the
This is her
children
link
of
right
his
here
lover,
in
paramour,
the chat.
now wife, Lori
Oh.
Vallow, and the murder of his wife of 29 years, Tammy Daybell. So, and the case is officially with the jury now. It is actually there. We are on verdict watch. What I want to do tonight is break down. There were very dramatic closing arguments today. The prosecutor went after Chad Daybell hard. It was really hard hitting, unbelievably well done, I thought, closing argument by the state.
Okay, I'm glad.
And, we're going to break that part down tonight. The reason being that it was very, very long. And then it turned out they also went very, very long on the defense. John Pryor did.
Hey,
and
girl.
then there was yet another 30 plus minutes that was added in for the rebuttal by the prosecutor. So there's not, I'm being told there's blurry video. Let me see if I can fix that. I don't really know how I would fix that, but let's see what I can do.
Bandwidth.
I'm going to go into, can I do anything with my settings?
All right, let me try and.
I don't know. I'm working on it. Give me just 1 second. I can tell them out to go straight to our internet. Oh, okay, let me
Okay. Sorry.
just move on. Okay. I'm not going to very long argument. So there's not a cast of thousands here on the Lawyer Lee channel. There's just me. So for me to get some clips to show you, what I have to do is what I have to do is do all of that myself, all the editing and everything like that myself to try to shorten it down for you. So what I could get done for tonight, I want to go over what the prosecutor said. That was unbelievably hard hitting. It is so good. And
I'm so glad to hear this.
It was really, really well done. So I want to hit some of the highlights of what the prosecutor talked about during the closing arguments. And then tomorrow we'll do the closing arguments by Chad Daybell's lawyer, John Pryor. Also well done, I thought both sides did a really great job. Now, where is the case right now? It is currently with the 12 jurors. 5 were selected as the alternates by lottery and they were pulled out. But all of them, all 17, will be sequestered. So 12 of them will be busy and doing something, which is hearing the case, but 5 of them not. Now, I would normally say that there would not be any chance of anything coming back today, just because of the fact that they just got the case. And even on Mountain Time, I believe it's 4:30 when they got the case. It is a little different since they're being sequestered. They may work really late. Who knows? And so that's where it is right now. Now, if you look back over the course of the trial, the prosecution had 67 witnesses. The defense had another 11, and then 6 were called for rebuttal of the prosecutor witnesses. It was a very lengthy, long case, and the jurors have got to be antsy to just get going. So the conspiracy, what I want to talk for just a second about is one of the issues is conspiracy, not just murder, but conspiracy. We're going to get into a little bit about what the prosecutor told the jury about that when we get into this further. There were, she also talked about the fact that the murder charges for the defendant were, and this comes also from jury instructions, engaged in conduct or encouraged someone else to engage in conduct. There was malice aforethought and deliberate, willful, and premeditated attempts of actual murder.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and start with what it is. I'm going to try one other thing on the camera.
No, it's not live.
What do you think about that? Is it any better?
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
wait,
we're
see.
live.
Let me
We're
know if that's
live.
any better. I'll leave it for now. The color is going to be a little off, but yikes!
I
It
know,
got
I've been
yikes! Oh
watching.
dear. Oh well.
Heartbreaking.
So where the prosecutor started was with the jail phone call between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Now, the way it worked was Chad Daybell was sitting outside at his own property in his car, watching law enforcement as they scoured the property, and they ultimately found the bodies of JJ and Tylee buried right there in Chad Daybell's backyard. So they were actually searching, and Chad and Lori's already in jail. Chad is sitting outside, and the two of them talk. And she started with that dramatic phone call. Lori says to him, they're searching, asks, are they searching the house? He says, no, the property. And then he says, Mark Means, an attorney, will be talking to you. He reiterated this theme with Lori's trial. That the prosecutor did, Lindsay Blake did. She said that it was
Thank
for
God.
money, for power and sex. That was what Chad Daybell cared about. That was a similar thing to what the prosecution used with Lori Vallow in the conviction of her for the same count. The prosecutor went very hard, I thought, on the fact that Chad was cheating on his wife. I thought it was probably pretty effective with a lot of the jurors, and talked about that really super bad pickup line Chad Daybell used, hey, baby, I think we were married in a prior life.
So
And
can
talked
we
about the fact
just
that Lori told Zoolander.
Can we just stop and talk about that? Because that is one of those things that I'm trying to tell y'all that is going on with Tim Ballard as well. Okay. Julie Rowe has used this same line as well. And I know it comes from Saturday's Warrior, but it also comes from Tom Harrison, the inspiration / author of Visions of Glory. He's Spencer in Visions of Glory. And there's been 3 people that have contacted, or that Lauren with Hidden True Crime has been contacted by and vetted out enough to say that she's got 3. I want to say 3 for Chad and 1 for Tom Harrison, saying that he was meeting with Chad and Julie Rowe in his Salt Lake City office. And I'd heard this a long time ago, but I only knew him as Portal Guy. Okay. So I didn't know that it was Tom Harrison. Tom Harrison is Portal Guy. Portal Guy is Tom Harrison. So, I mean, just why? And why are they doing really shady shit? You know what I'm saying? So I think we met before in a previous life. Again, I kind of said this during the stream earlier. This all kind of it stinks of like the Central Intelligence Agency, and they use a lot of testing procedure. I don't even know what to call it. They were doing a program a long time ago, or a while back, or whatever, called remote viewing. Okay. I don't know what all that entails. I just know that people who are involved with Tom Harrison and this ilk, this group of people, of like-minded individuals who are, kind of behind a lot of really dark and shady shit, exploitative, abusing, murder now, with these 501c3s. I think it's like a money laundering type deal, and definitely false advertising, if you know what I'm saying. And so I just kind of want to know what's behind that. And from the looks of it, it seems to be like that kind of program, the remote viewing program. Maybe it didn't quite end, you know what I'm saying? And maybe they're still trying to sharpen those skills. Maybe they got it down. I don't really know. But I'm not really here to talk about that part of it, although, it does factor into this. It just makes me wonder why Janet Russin, Tim Ballard's psychic / intel, now she's been called intel too. So to find trafficked children in Haiti, and it's just like, what? And they're bamboozling a lot of people monetarily, financially, spiritually, emotionally, legally. I mean, just all the E's. Okay. They are exploiting it. Coco Berthman, she's one that was in this clique as well. Paul Hutchinson, Sean Reyes, Ken Krogh, okay, the Spear Fund, Jennifer Munoz, trying to think of all of them. Tom Harrison was also he's started a nonprofit organization with Ken Krogh, another Mormon billionaire. I think he's over he has like a genealogy company or something. So it's very, very alarming when you start seeing all these connections and you're like, what? And then what does this have to do with Chad and Lori? And then, I'm not very good at explaining it. However, I'll just keep practicing till I get it.
Lemma Pastenes and Melanie Gibb, that Chad had said Lori and he were married in previous lives, that it was just a way to justify the affair.
Kinda.
Said they believed in previous lives, multiple probations. And so it wasn't really cheating because they'd already been married before. And then, of course, the same sort of rationale went with the death of JJ, Tammy, and Tylee, that they were zombies. So it wasn't really murder. It wasn't a person anymore. It certainly wasn't JJ. It wasn't Tammy. It wasn't Tylee. It was some evil entity. And so it was okay to do that murder. There was also talk from Lindsay Blake about how Chad Daybell would be with Tammy, but there was no, that he was married to Tammy, let me be clear on that, but there was no indication that he intended to divorce her, no discussion about Tammy's friends having been told they were considering it. He didn't file for anything, yet he talked repeatedly about the fact that he expected to be able to move on with Lori soon, that he was going to have a second part to his life, and that he and Lori were intended to be together.
Absolutely.
So it was Chad, and Chad was in charge. That was a theme that the prosecutor had. And it's something we talked about all along. Was this an issue where Lori Vallow was in charge, the one who had came up with these crazy ideas? And you will see tomorrow when we talk about it, the defense believed it was not just Lori, but very particularly Alex Cox and Melanie Gibb, that they were all part and parcel of this.
And they are,
so
in my opinion.
Chad was the one, according to the prosecutor today, Lindsay Blake, she said that Chad was the one teaching these ideas to all of the women, including Lori Vallow Daybell. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit about what she said on that.
Thank you.
Zulema some of her past lives. He told Zulema that he had a book of life. And through that book of life, he could see people's past lives and he could see into the future. He also told her,
I equate the book of life because, the book of life is basically who lives, who dies. And so I equate this to, this is Church of the Firstborn. Okay. Church of the Firstborn is not a place. It doesn't exist. Okay. So it is an invisible church. If you listen to David Warwick, yes, it is. But I mean, he's also not being fully open, and he's definitely not giving us anything that we can go on because he's part of this, in my opinion. So I just want y'all to know that Church of the Firstborn, that's why I'm like, Chad wasn't trying to start his own church. Chad was not trying to be a cult leader, or, I mean, it's like the way that the court has to kind of make it out to be, because it was a very high circumstantial type case. There's not a lot of physical evidence. There are really hardly any at all. There's not really, he deleted his GPS locations, all his information, his data. So I'm just like, okay, so it's like they kind of have to make him out like he pulled the strings. And I mean, I get it. He did, but so did Lori, I mean, if we were to go into Lori's all over again, we would see that again. We're just getting out of this one. We're coming to an end, to a close on this one. So it's real fresh in our minds. Anyways, it's just, so it's like they have to make him out to be a cult leader. So that's what the general consensus, or the masses of the people are going to know. It's kind of frustrating in that sense. But I mean, I get their way of seeing it, but I also am like, not really. There's this whole other network. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, check them out too.
he didn't actually need the book. He could do it without it. Miss Pulowski, Melanie Pulowski, that is, Melanie Gibb, and Zulema all reference a pendulum or a pendant that the defendant had at some times, that he would tell them he could get answers. But again, he didn't have to have that to give them the answers. Common theme.
Yeah, I will.
Chad has the answers. Chad has the knowledge. Chad has that special ability.
So Chad was her theme, that it was a question of what Chad was doing, that he was the moving force behind all of the evil that they did. He was the one who came up with these crazy ideas. Now, there was also talk about the progression with evil spirits. Lindsay Blake talked about the fact that it was Chad who deemed Charles Vallow, Lori's husband at the time he and Lori began their affair. I mean, Chad deemed Charles Vallow to be dark, said that he was possessed by the relatively mild-mannered Willie Loman of evil spirits, Ned Schneider. And then they did a casting and it worked, supposedly, but then it turned out it didn't work. So, and it turned out there was a new entity, this time Garrett, but still there was no success in getting the evil spirit out. So Charles ultimately became an evil spirit called Hiplos, even more demonic and so dark, she said, that it merited a brand new term, zombie. And at that point, Chad and Lori began to teach that only that when an evil spirit so took over a body that it became a zombie, there was no casting it out and then the good spirit could come back in. Instead, that person was gone. This was only a zombie, only an evil spirit. And the only way to get rid of it was to kill the body. So in fact, then on July 11th, Charles was shot and killed by Alex Cox, Lori's brother. And Alex, the prosecutor stressed, believed in zombies 100%. And there were harsh beliefs that and even they were applied to children. She talked about, the prosecutor did, about Chad Daybell emailing Lori about the children of Melanie Pulowski. They may have been texting. They were going back and forth as Lori, Melanie, and two of her children were driving somewhere. And Chad was talking about the death percentages of these children and said he was going to increase their pain and lower their pain tolerance, even though they were very young children. If they're going to act up, he said, we'll at least give them a reason to scream. The very next line was, I love, treasure, and adore you. Just such an incredible contradiction between how he treated and talked about her and how he treated and talked about anyone he believed and deemed to be dark. One of the things that Lindsay talked about, Lindsay Blake, the prosecutor, was that freedom from Tammy was something that Chad Daybell needed. There was the Harry Potter text, for example. He said that he was like Harry Potter under the stairs, but quote.
Don't y'all remember last year there was a lot more talk. I haven't really heard it in this trial about Tammy. Him and Alex referring to Tammy as warden. Do y'all remember that? I was wondering, I'm like, well, I haven't heard that really in this one.
Oh, permanent freedom is coming. Now, who did he want freedom from? She asked. Well, that was from his wife, Tammy. And he said he sensed it was coming. But Lori was frustrated with the delay. Her husband was gone and out of the way, but Chad's wife was still alive. Chad and Tammy had 5 children. They had a grandchild. I'm going to make that a little lower. She said, Lori said, I can't be in the way anymore. I can't be with you until things change. Now, what needed to change? The prosecutor asked. Well, it was Tammy, and Chad's response to her was, I want you, nothing else matters. And that was the explanation for why there was this attempt on Tammy's life first, and then, of course, she actually died. There was also, according to the prosecutor, a real desire by Chad Daybell for freedom from the children, Lori's children, that is, not his own, who were all grown adults and out on their own, except for one who did live at home. Lori asked him, do you think there is a perfectly orchestrated plan to take the children? And Chad said there is a plan to take the children. In fact, I think I can play this for you.
See, I don't know if he's getting it from Tom Harrison, is what I'm at. What I'm thinking. There's somebody up.
I know. Been shown to me. I've seen those beautiful eyes filled with tears as she sings to amazing groups of people. I've seen that wonderful body dance to heavenly songs. Your purpose is
the giggling.
Only beginning. It's hardly begun.
Horrible.
And it will be the pair. It won't be solo.
So Chad shared with Lori that Tylee and JJ, her children, had become dark. And that happened even before they moved to Rexburg. Being dark, the prosecutor stressed, meant the body had to die. And she stressed that Alex Cox, who was apparently the enforcer, the actual person who carried out the murders, believed Chad 100%. And it was Chad who was pulling the strings and creating the murders in the situation where the murders would happen. The prosecutor, of course, also talked about Tylee Ryan, who was also killed. And here is what was said.
In July, 7 days after Charles' death, Chad Daybell texts Lori, I've been instructed to focus my efforts on Hillary. Who is Hillary? That's Tylee. Lori asks him, find out her percentage for me and JJ's. What's the percentage? It's the death percentage. Chad's response, she is at 0.13. I turned up the pain to 10.
Now, 0.13, by the way, meant very near death.
Yeah.
And he's increasing the pain in a young girl, only 16 years old, who is the actual daughter of Lori, his paramour.
Tylee is a 16-year-old girl. He's turning the pain up to 10, and he's saying her death percentage is 0.13. He then tells her that Raphael, another name for Chad, visited him talking about JJ and told him to follow Amy into the light.
I still want to know who Amy is.
We all know what it means if someone says, follow someone into the light.
So following this discussion, of course, Tylee went with her family, with Lori, with Alex, with JJ on a trip to Yellowstone.
Melanie.
Chad, meanwhile, looked up the southwest wind, looking at the direction of the wind. Now, the prosecutor believes that's because Tylee was burned on the property. Her remains were found on Chad's property, and he wanted to know whether the wind would carry that to the neighbors, if there would be some kind of telltale sign of what he was doing. Now, as far as the defense, we'll hear more about this, they believe, and Emma, his daughter, Emma Daybell Murray, came and testified that she herself personally did that, and she did it because they were having some kind of outdoor event, which was not specified. And this outdoor event, she just needed to know what direction the wind was going. She was, quote, being an amateur meteorologist. So this is also the very next day after Tylee's body, they believe, was buried, that Chad sent that raccoon text. That raccoon text he sent to his wife, Tammy, saying, hey, I killed a raccoon, finally caught it, and I buried it in the pet cemetery, and that he was burning limb debris on the property. Now, the prosecutor believes that was a really unbelievable, that was a joke in poor taste. Joke isn't even the right word, but something in very poor taste, talking about burning limb debris. And but all of that was just a cover up. What Chad was trying to do was to keep people from, to keep Tammy from thinking, why are there smoldering ashes in her fire pit? Why is there smoke still coming up? Why is there a hole suddenly dug in the backyard? He wanted an explanation for that she could buy, that she could tell other people. There was discussion between the experts in the case about whether or not Tylee could have theoretically been burned within 2 hours. The prosecutor talked about the fact that multiple areas of blunt force trauma to the skull, to the ribs, to parts of her body were found, and that there were 18 sharp force impacts. Now, that would make sense given that Tylee's DNA was found on a pickaxe and a shovel in the defendant's garage. The prosecutor argues that may be how those things occurred. Did it happen before death, after death? There were no specifics on that. It was perimortem, according to what the defense's own expert said. I thought it was one of the lowest points of the defense that was put on, because they brought all of these very specific, appalling details to the attention of the jury right at the end of their case. Like, last thing, I thought it was a shame for them from their point of view, because I thought that it did not further the case in the way that they would want it to. So then they turned to JJ and talked about the fact that Chad said that JJ, like Tylee, right before she died, was getting close. And Chad even said, I sensed he was barely attached to his body. Let's listen to a little more.
On August 10th, again, Lori had asked, please check JJ. Chad's response, or then Lori further pushes, is he at 0 yet? Chad's response, yes, he's at 0. If Chad labels someone dark or a zombie, the body has to die. Chad determines the death percentage. When the death percentage hits 0, that person's been marked for death. The next morning, you heard from David Warwick that he asked where JJ was on the morning of September 23rd. Said, I wanted to say goodbye to JJ before I left. They described Lori as appearing somewhat nervous, starting to talk fast, and she explained how JJ was dark. JJ was now a zombie. JJ had gotten on the cabinets. He was knocking over pictures of Christ. And so he wasn't there, and she wasn't going to go get him. Melanie and David never saw JJ again. Again,
I think they're okay with that, though, Lindsay. So
the theme of the prosecution was that
what I was going to answer this one right here. The event that Emma was planning was the BYU. Not the BYU. It was, I just closed it out too. It was history. Oh, of course, it tapered off right there. Hold on just 1 second. It was this one right here.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for over 30,000 mouth-watering choices with savings beyond low prices, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon.
Oh my God, sorry. I didn't know where to find the thing. But this was an Operation Underground Railroad, aka Tim Ballard, event in Rexburg the weekend Tylee was murdered. All right, I'm gonna turn back
for everyone. Hi, we're Visible. We're the wireless company.
If it ever plays at all, right? But Joe Murray is on this, and this was the event. But she said something about an umbrella, okay? And she said that, I'm talking about Emma, she said that she has to go and Google it because she don't have a smartphone, okay? I mean, a big elaborate story about why she didn't, she has all the answers already. And she also says that she had to Google it because she lives so far out of whatever Sugar City. I don't even know what she said exactly, but it's something to that tune, It's just, she's lying, in my opinion. She's totally lying.
So we kind of wanted to get some more information about the organization that's kind of putting on this event. What does OUR stand for?
OUR stands for the Fight Against Human Trafficking throughout the world. It's a global organization. It goes throughout all the dark areas of the world and
Put it in
goes
the
and rescues
search bar. I mean, in the-
children and other individuals who are caught in this trade.
All right. And then that's kind of their purpose and what they stand for. And it's for Operation Underground Railroad, right? Is the name of it.
Correct.
But like
correct.
you said, it focuses more on trafficking versus the old understanding of what the Underground Railroad used to be. So I understand that you guys have that upcoming race, like I said. It's going to be this weekend in Rexburg. So what inspired you guys to have this race?
So I actually ran the race that was put on for this organization in the past. Actually, it was in 2017, and I had messaged the page to ask them if they were going to do it again, and they said that that they didn't have the time to do it. The person that had done it in the past, and said that if anybody else wanted to do it, they would support
And the
them.
chain link logo.
And after
yeah.
contemplating and talking with my wife for a little bit, we decided
That's what John
that
Pryor
this was
used.
something I could do. I've always wanted to put on a race, but really I wanted
All right, let
to
me speak
support
to the
this great
end of
cause
this
as
over
I
here.
came to know about it more.
So he's in charge of it. Okay.
We respond number one are and are able,
And
and
even
you'll be able to
commented
have
right
a
here.
lot better understanding.
Thank you
Straight
so
up.
much for sharing that information. And so yeah, is there any other information that you'd like to share today with us?
Mostly we'd like to thank our sponsors, and number one are our greatest sponsors,
those
actually
down.
the Pediatric Place. They are the ones that made this event possible so that we can
Don't the donors make it possible?
make this cause go forth.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Thank you so much for being here again, Josh, with BYU
guess
Idaho
I think
Radio.
Go to here. She talked about the weather.
And they're able to,
Mhm.
unfortunately,
You just want to help out. And then
through Facebook on Rexburg Rescue Run, I will be able to set them up with my volunteer coordinator.
okay, that's great. And so, yeah, so even if you don't want to run, but you just want to help out, and then obviously you can always donate just online, I believe, through their organization
Correct.
to be able to help them out. And so if somebody had never heard of the organization, what would you kind of tell them about it to kind of explain what is going on?
So globally, the largest growing industry is actually child pornography.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it's a very sad thing that that's the case. And the United States is one of the greatest consumers of it.
Well,
And so Operation Underground Railroad actually goes and acts the part to be able to break these
Pretend.
operations.
To pretend to
And they're
save
able
children.
to rescue these little children. The organization was founded by Tim Ballard. He used to work for the federal government, and he actually oversaw some the human trafficking for that area. But then he realized his hands were a bit tied because there was only so much he could do, and it was within the United States. He couldn't go and help those that were being abused in that way by even our own citizens. And so he wanted to do more. And so he founded Operation Underground Railroad. In fact, there is a documentary that is on Amazon Prime. It's called Operation
YouTube now.
Descent. And that gives the best description for what OUR stands for. It shows what they do, how they help, and you'll be able to have a lot better understanding.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. And so, yeah, is there any other information that you'd like to share today with us?
Mostly we'd like to thank our sponsors, and number one are our greatest sponsors, actually the Pediatric Place. They are the ones.
She does say something about the weather. This I had shared it earlier on the live stream.
In fact, there is a documentary that is on Amazon.
We get to it. Oh, adoption. Oh my God. And this is whenever they talk about his priesthood blessings. He's a nasty ass, okay? Tell your friends how they think or believe. The world has need of willing. Sorry. And okay. Look, I wanted to show y'all this. I know, because look, this is it's a grainy picture, It's from 2017 when Michelle McDermott right here. Okay, look, David Warwick right there. He's turned all the way around, looking to the back. And Mike Stroud spoke at this meeting. So, yeah, Mike and Mark. And that was back in 2017. This is 2017. Nancy James right here. Preparing people. Stay together. Okay. I'm sure there's other people there somewhere. But yeah. Oh, nosy. You know, nothing gets by him. Again,
Nope,
why
but
were
he
they
can't remember
contacting Chad? Why was Melanie trying to contact Chad? Why was Melanie Gibb trying to contact Chad and Lori in the middle of the night if she did not believe in his priesthood powers? You know what I'm saying? I just think it's a lie. I think it's all I think that they built their stories around it. And this pisses me off. It really does. Emma Daybell posted this as her profile picture on Facebook, you know, with her
6 weeks or
smartphone.
6
I'm
months.
sure.
I forget.
Please respect my family's privacy at this time. My siblings and I are not making
Thank you.
comments to media. But I mean, of all things in the world to put as your profile, I forget what it's called, the
Thank
banner
you.
art. This is what she chose. Out of all the things in the world, it's not of a temple. It's
That's
not
funny,
even
Lee.
of her mom and dad. It's not even of anything other than 2 raccoons. Okay.
I don't
So
know.
I'm just
Take a look.
saying that is so intentional and it's a slap in the face. You know, I tried cleaning this one up, but okay, let me skip through these. It's just disgusting. I've been having that video too. I just never did it. I think so. I mean, save the damn day. Had in his.
I'm just storytelling.
And so this is what the lyrics say. The world has
Oh.
need of willing men who work put your shoulder to the wheel. I'm gonna look up the lyrics again. Okay, hold on. You know how Chad had or Chad and his kids picked out the stuff to say at Tammy's funeral, and it was put your shoulder to the wheel. I'm gonna look up the lyrics again. Hold on, I'm looking them up. Okay. And so this is what the lyrics said of willing men who work the worker's seal. Come help the good work move along. Put your shoulder to the wheel. Put your shoulder to the wheel, push along, do your duty with a heart full of song. We all have work. Let no one shirk. Put your shoulder to the wheel. This is what they chose for her, either Chad or Chad and his kids. Work. And I mean, anyways, the church has need of helping hands and hearts that know and feel. The work to do is here for you. Put your shoulder to the wheel. Put your shoulder to the wheel, push along, do your duty with a heart full of song. We all have work. Let no one shirk. Put your shoulder to the wheel. Then it says, verse 3, then don't stand idly looking on. The fight with sin is real. It will be long, but must go on. Put your shoulder to the wheel and push along. Do your duty with a heart full of song. We all have work. Let no one shirk. Put your shoulder to the wheel. 4, it says, then work and watch and fight and pray with all your might and zeal. Push every worthy work along. Put your shoulder to the wheel. Okay, push along. Do your duty with a heart full of song. We all have work. Let no one shirk. Put your shoulder to the wheel. So that's what they chose. I don't want to get, yeah. All right. Interesting. I'm on my second glass of water. That there's justice. Oh, I was looking these like a magic 8-ball, and how this is at the very tippity top. Okay. Okay. Here. And how this goes all the way up, y'all. I can't say it any louder or anymore. I can't beat this in enough. This goes, okay, so this is the church, the Mormon hierarchy. The first president is up here at the very tippity top, okay? And the first presidency consists of 1, 2, 3 counselors, okay? Under this one. Then there's the quorum of the 12 apostles, all right? These guys, and so everybody here up, they are perceived as being a mouthpiece for God. Okay. They've received divine revelation, allegedly. They, and they're the only men on the planet. Basically, the living prophet is the only man on the planet, the only prophet on the planet. This is how they think or believe, I think, that can receive revelation from God, ongoing revelation. And so when I say this goes to the very top, this fella here, like KFC right here, I'd say in the white, but they're all wearing white. Right? KFC. This is Russell Ballard. Okay. This is the guy. This is the guy. And I mean, he's just the main one. Actually, this guy right here. Garrett, I think named him. He did not say that in case it's not. But I do think Garrett de Jong or something. I could be wrong. There's somebody with that name that's listed in the Hamblin documents. and you don't want to be listed in the handling documents at all. No, this is present. I'm going. I'll go off when a person feels threatened. This is another thing that the first token. Okay, hold on. Sorry. JJ. Oh, let me go back. Oh, you do different things there. Minutes, please. And, Emma. And Tylee. Look how beautiful,
Aw.
Right? It's a freaking shame. Really. JJ. And, okay, I'm going to have to go and mute myself so I can clear my damn throat. He's guilty AF, okay? All right. I had made a video, but I shared it. He's between face right now. He is, because he got kicked out of Mormon.
Hi, I'm Kat, volunteer with the organization.
With big fanfare.
Okay, here.
Endorsed by Utah's governor.
I'm just going to play the clip. Here you go. Y'all get to hear
Go back.
Ballard. I'm a father, husband, man of faith. He just don't know. He's but the unfortunate truth is child trafficking, modern. Okay. Waiting. So we had that thunderstorm. Okay. We're having another one. Allison. She was Uncle Charles's first love. Okay. She said, I almost deleted and blocked, but wanted to let you see first. Maybe someone is trying to raise money by using his name. This is a list I will not be on. Love, Allison. And so she sent a picture of. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Ooh. Oh, Tim there, right? So there's that. God's children are not for sale. Nobody is refuting that. But the unfortunate truth is child trafficking, modern slavery, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. I thought porn was. I'm just asking. Grifter is going to grift, right? Okay. I've been trying to stop it for years. I was a DHS special agent and undercover operator. I'm the subject of the film Sound of Freedom. We know. I was even an advisor to President Trump. Now I'm being targeted. Hims is being targeted. all the bad guys, all the traffickers and stuff. They smell his pheromones. Straight up. There are. Oh my god.
That when I laugh at my own
now
jokes,
I'm being
right?
targeted, and I need your help to clear my name. Quit doing the couples ruse. Quit doing Chad's line. Quit saying, hey, I think we were married before in a past life. Stop doing that, Tom Harrison, too. Okay? I'm looking directly at you, Tom Harrison. Shame on you. There are some out there who do not want people like me to shine a light on evil and take down the bad guys. This is Tim Ballard. I'm a father, husband, man of faith. He just don't know. He's between face right now. He is, because he got kicked out of Mormonism, so he's knocking on Catholic's door. Shut it, okay? Shut it. Slam it in his face. That missionary is he is trying. Just kidding. I messed my camera up, I guess, by putting it up there. Anyway, so I clicked on it, and then it said that he was on the brink of bankruptcy. I was like, why? Oh, you shouldn't be. Okay, whiteboard meeting. Okay, whiteboard. Okay, whiteboard prophecy. I don't think so. Here we go. Hold on, I'm gonna show it. I'm just gonna play the clip. Here you go. Y'all get to hear it again, right?
In an article I published in 2017, I created a flowchart to show how the nonprofit OUR worked with the for-profit venture, the Abolitionists LLC. Tim Ballard would control both organizations. OUR would provide what would be referred to as the sizzle video of operatives helping rescue child sex slaves, while the profit venture provides video that could be used as evidence, but mainly for the TV series. Initially, Ballard would be paid by both entities. Russell Ballard invested on the for-profit side. Besides Russell Ballard, two other high church officials are believed to have invested with Tim Ballard's for-profit venture: Robert Gay, who has since become an emeritus general authority, and Dale Renlund, an apostle. The three purportedly invested about $600,000 in 2013 in Ballard's movie-making venture. All declined comment, would neither confirm nor deny. After that, Tim Ballard was able to pick up the phone and arrange for one of his Haiti operatives to meet Elder Renlund for a photo op. After OUR's first missions, a pilot for the proposed television series was produced. The film production company produced a 7-episode pilot to pitch television networks and cable channels. The last episode was about the failed search for Gardy Marty, led by a psychic, although in the series she is referred to as an informant who came forward with intelligence. But no one wanted the series, so that idea was replaced with another. So the producers took the series footage and made a movie out of it, a sort of docudrama
Wow.
for theatrical distribution,
so
narrated
sorry,
by
Regina.
Tim Ballard. It premiered in Utah and California with big fanfare, endorsed by Utah's governor, attorney general, and other politicians.
I know, Jet set.
Right.
I'll never stop trying though.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Yeah, so there's that part, and then I gotta remember which window right here. This is the clip I found in one of his speeches. Okay, he mentions Tom Harrison and their research. Okay, this is what they're wanting to do with trafficked children.
Times that I served,
After
times that
Caleb,
others served
not-
me. And all of a sudden, as I just thought about those moments in my life, I was filled with something that I recognized. It was the same thing I recognized when I had gotten off on the freeway, off the off-ramp, to go visit this little boy.
got off all
I
right.
felt optimism. I mean, I was in tears. I was just like floating. I
wanted
feel like
to
I
pick
wanted to
up
go
a
run a
boy.
marathon from his house. I was like, what is this? I felt optimism. I felt courage,
Absolutely.
unity, these amazing things. I said, what is this? He says, Tim, it's a chemical reaction. It's a chemical. When you give, when you serve, your brain actually releases these amazing chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, and it's what.
He's a nerd.
And if you're a spiritual person like he is, he says these are the chemicals God puts in your body that opens up the heavens, that helps
It
you
opens
to
up
get
their
past
heaven.
the physical and
Okay.
into the spiritual. But whether you believe that or not, the reaction, the fruit of this is real. So I wanted to do my own research on it, and I found a brain specialist, one of the people
Funny.
that helps us heal the brain of the children who have been traumatized. His name's Tom Harrison.
I was like, what?
And this is what he says, his research. The research is conclusive. Through ongoing acts of service, charity, thoughts of kindness, and gratitude, the brain releases a powerful cocktail of chemicals, which include oxytocin, endorphins, dopamine, and others. These chemicals, in turn, produce in the recipient positive benefits, which produce higher levels of achievement, increased creativity, positivity, optimism, and unity. Why are these fruits so important? Because you can't teach these things.
Okay.
In your home, to your children, in your businesses, to your
What
employees.
I'm
Can you go to
translating
your
from that-
employee and
hold on.
say, all right, be creative?
What I'm translating from this is, and this is just, I'm not a professional. Again, this is just my interpretations and allegations, allegedly. I'm interpreting that, no, you can't teach this, Tim. And they're trying to learn it. Why? Because I think they're psychopaths. Okay. I really do.
I mean, you can say it. Be optimistic.
Be about Jesus. Okay. If they say it enough, they think they are it. They don't show it. They say it, and they think that they're righteous, and that's a problem.
Be a unifier. Be a team unity. You can say it all day long.
All day.
But how do I do it? How do I be creative? How do I just do this? You do it by creating the environment in which service is prominent, is paramount. You encourage your people, your family, to serve others. This is why Tony Robbins is always saying the secret to living is giving. That's his like life mantra. And
he's nasty. So there's that part, you know. All right. So let me get back to, let me turn this one off. Let's go back to Lawyer Lee.
Over and over, Chad would say
I know, we go all around the
becoming
world.
dark, that they were nearing the end of their lives, that they have become a zombie, and then they would disappear. We'll hear that theme recurrent throughout this, and you'll hear her put it all together in a really effective segment at the very last minute. I've got a clip of that to play for you. I want to say thank you to a few people. I want to thank Patricia Cox and Polio. Thank you both very much. In Connect, a spouse could be charged with that, and they then turned to the Brandon Boudreaux shooting. And went into, frankly, a fair amount of detail about it, which surprised me a little bit. The reason that surprised me is Chad is not being prosecuted in the Arizona case.
so.
The Arizona prosecutor has made the decision that there's just not enough evidence that they feel like they could convict him. So it's a bit of a risk for appeal to talk very much about this. Some lawyers might have just said, not mentioned it in the closing and said, oh, we hardly mentioned it to the appellate court. Oh, it didn't even make closing argument. It was harmless error. But they actually Lindsay Blake talked some about it, and it did fit the pattern that Lindsay Blake was arguing, because like Brandon Boudreaux was Melanie Pulowski's husband at the time. They may have been freshly divorced, but they were going through a very bitter custody battle. And Chad determined that Brandon, the ex-husband, was dark. Alex Cox then did the act, which was shooting at Brandon Boudreaux, drove the Jeep down, took a seat out of the back, took a shot through the window, and missed. That's the prosecution's argument about what happened. And in fact, Lori Vallow is going to be tried this summer on that very case. He's going to be tried in Arizona, and I hope we'll be able to cover that. I hope it'll be televised and that we'll get some good ability to follow that closely. So, most important of all for this particular case was the question of whether or not Tammy was murdered. And this is what the prosecutor argued, because there were questions about her death that were very different from JJ, from Tylee. For both JJ and Tylee, there was zero question that they were murdered, just no question at all. But for Tammy, Chad Daybell argues she wasn't murdered at all. She died of natural causes. So the prosecutor went in for some very damaging text messages.
Back in July, when Chad and Lori are talking about death percentages, Chad tells Lori he got the inspiration to go back to my, he uses my original death percentages that helped us track Charles, Ned. Chad had the death percentages to track Charles. Tammy is very close. Her percentage has fallen steadily since Iplos left. It is encouraging. On October 5th, Chad messages Lori, big news about Tammy. The short version is she has been switched. Tammy is in limbo, and a level 3 demonic entity named Viola is in her body. Tammy's now a zombie, essentially, or she has a dark entity in her. Again, someone's dark, someone's a zombie, the body has to die. And Chad can tell and controls the death percentages. Chad goes on to tell Lori, I have now checked 3 times since I got home and get more affirmative answers each time. Chad then tells her, not fully sure of the timing for removal, but once her actions verify the differences, I don't want to wait. Someone's dark, the body has to die. Chad doesn't want to wait.
I thought that was incredibly powerful. And the way she read that last email or text, I thought was especially important, because what Chad says is he's not fully sure of the timing, but once her actions verify the differences, I don't want to wait, implies Chad's doing something about it. It implies he doesn't want to wait. He's going to, as soon as she confirms that she's really dark, he's going to do something about it. And that was the argument that the prosecutor made.
All right.
And there were, in fact,
and we'll go ahead and end 2. And I pulled a video to share with y'all on the way out. Let me get to it. There, right here is why Lori, why money, power, and sex, justice for Tylee, JJ, Tammy, Charles, and Joe. So I appreciate y'all being here. We will be we'll be watching for the jury to come back with a verdict. Hopefully it'll be guilty on all counts, and then we'll take it from there, So justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Love always wins, and you are proof of this.
I have one more statement. It started with 2 children missing. Really? JJ, I love you. Papa, wish you were here in other circumstances. Tylee, Papa loves you. Tammy, I never met you. Tammy, you are part of our life. Tammy, I am sorry for what happened to you. My heart hurts. My heart hurts for these 3. This is what this has been all about from the very get-go. And I stood up and I said, where are the children? Where are the children? Where are the children? Give us back our children. We're not ending this. This is not the end of this. 90 days from today, Fremont County, the sentence will be handed down. And I'm going to say right now what I'm going to say in 3 months. Why, Lori? Why, Lori? Why? Power, sex, and greed. For what? For what? Power, sex, and greed. JJ, Papa misses you. I miss you.
I love you guys. Thank y'all. That was me. We're trolling, John. Thank y'all so much. I'll pray. All right, bye guys. See y'all hopefully tomorrow, right? Hopefully they come back with a verdict and it's guilty, 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 guilty all the way. And then on to the next page.